To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por
We
favor,
invite you, if
manténganse
you dare,
alejados
to
de las
step
puertas.
forward because in tonight's episode, you will be stuck in this elevated travel.
Doorless chambers.
Hello and welcome to Miles from Main Street, your Far From Disney podcast. My name is Mikhailo,
And I'm Brian,
and we're here to talk about Disney World,
but especially coping away from Disney.
which we know a lot about being from the Midwest.
So today on Miles from Main Street, we are talking about our reactions to Disney's Enchantment. These are the new fireworks in Magic Kingdom that debuted just hours, or probably less than an hour ago right now from when we're recording it, because we reacted to the fireworks. We're going to have that up on YouTube for you guys to check out. And now we're going to sit down and talk about them directly after watching them. So I definitely have a couple thoughts. And I know Brian has a couple things to say. But just kind of overviewing what these fireworks are is so they got rid of Happily Ever After, which was a huge step in Magic Kingdom fireworks. They were using projections, a lot more lighting effects, and quite a few more fireworks. They kind of brought that to Enchantment. But they also, the new thing is that they were lighting Main Street also. So that's very cool. And that was very cool to see. A few more effects. I definitely saw some lasers in there. Everybody knows that I'm a big lighting nerd, so I'm happy about that. Very cool. But other than that, I really didn't see too many, like nothing really kind of like wowed me in like stuff that they've added, other than those lasers. They were pretty cool. I did see a little bit more utilization of the moving lights that they had, and that makes me happy too. So that's cool. But those are just some things that, like, of course, I would notice. Brian, what are some things that you noticed about the new fireworks?
I mentioned it in our reaction video. I don't know if we want to mention, hey, I'm glad you guys came over from the reaction video to listen to this. And if you don't know what we're talking about, there's a reaction video. And we're going to, it's out on YouTube, and we watched it together and, kind of gave our first impressions there. So definitely go check that out. I mentioned in the video that the projections are supposed to be like 2.0 projections, right? Like the technology should have taken a step forward. It was hard to see that in the video. I'm hoping that when I finally get there to see it, that I do see that difference in the projections. I can't wait to watch it again, because the music was pretty good. I did enjoy the new song. I did mention some of the projections, the videos seemed to move really fast, and it was hard to keep up with that. My wife, we had our significant others on that video too. My wife mentioned that it was cool seeing them put movies together. It wasn't just like a song from a movie and then a song from another movie and the projections meeting that movie, like they're kind of bringing things together. And I think that is really neat in itself. The big thing for me right now, and it warrants another viewing to really get a good grasp on it, but I really like the build up to Tinkerbell flying in Happily Ever After. I did not get that out of this. I felt like we were just listening to You Are the Magic, and then all of a sudden she appeared. That's how it was conveyed to me on the video. So I'm hoping in my next watching it's different from that. I don't know if that's the experience you had, Mikhailo.
Yeah, it was all of a sudden she was. I think Brian, you noticed her first, and so like all of a sudden she was out there. Yeah, and the "You Are the Magic" song I feel like was cool, but it just didn't. I guess this is kind of like we're jumping into it now. This is kind of like a big thing that I felt about these fireworks was, I mean, other than the Disney songs that they had in there, that I already have like a pretty strong emotional attachment to, that song. I mean, it's a cool anthem, and like "You Are the Magic," like I get it. Like all the people that have come to Disney World are the reason it's so magical, and the cast members and everybody who works there. I don't know. It just kind of fell flat for me. Like I didn't have an emotional reaction the kind of the same way that I would have with Wishes or even with Happily Ever After, which I always have a very strong emotional reaction to something like that. So
I would agree. I have the same feelings that way too. Like going into it, it was okay. Are any one of us going to start crying for this?
yeah.
And I don't think any of us had that type of reaction. It was just kind of like, okay. Now, I'd be interested to hear from other people if they had issues with the sound. Because while we were watching it, and you can see in the video and hear in the video that there are points where you can't hear anything, or it's very hard to hear something. So I'm putting that on Disney. I'm hoping that's because of the way they were recording, the way they were presenting it. But they've never had a problem like that before, so that would surprise me. In all of the streams I've watched from them, I've never seen them have an issue with the sound like that. So that kind of took me out of the experience as well. So it's hard to build that emotional response if I'm not getting the full experience.
Exactly, and I would feel the same way. Where it's like if I was in the parks, would I be feeling different about this? And so that'll be interesting to see on my most recent trip that I'm going to be going on, how I feel about it. But it's just, I don't know. I wonder if Disney's going to let you like download the track, kind of the same way that they did with Happily Ever After. Because I'll bump that like in the car. Like I love that song. And so I guess, yeah, I guess the best way to put it, because it wasn't a bad song, like, and the idea behind it was great. I definitely appreciated that. I guess it just kind of fell flat for me. Like it didn't really like pull out an emotional response. Now, on the other hand, there were plenty of things that we were just kind of saying wow about. There are lots of really cool things and really cool additions. One of the biggest ones being the projections on Main Street. And I think it seemed like it took it a while to kind of get out there. They kind of kept cutting to Main Street, and Main Street was still dark. But kind of like, I would say halfway through the fireworks, that's kind of when Main Street started to receive projections. And I think, I mean, I think they had a camera right at the end of Main Street. So it would be cool to be like in Main Street and kind of see what kind of details going on Main Street, because it's definitely both sides. And I saw some pretty cool things. Brian talked about how fast these projections moved. And there were at one point like things were just like sweeping down Main Street. So I think that would be pretty cool to see live and in person. And I also mentioned they obviously updated fixtures. I know that Disney uses high-end fixtures, and I say high-end because that's the actual name of the company. They use high-end fixtures, solo spots. That's what they use. They're just humongous moving head fixtures, and I feel like they use them a little bit more in in these fireworks than they have before. Because before, I'm sure people have seen it before. There's like 8 of them, and they're all on the sides of the castle, and they just kind of fan out and they move back and forth. Like that's kind of pretty much what they had been doing. Like that was their bread and butter. I noticed this time they were using them a lot more, and they were moving around, and I definitely enjoyed that. So that was a little enhancement to the fireworks.
And the fireworks, we had commented, looked like they had a new spot they were shooting off them off from, because when they show the castle from the front, it would I don't know what you call it, like the launch space.
Yeah.
Like it looked like it was shifted to the left. And I know a couple weeks ago in testing there was a fire. And I wonder if that's what may have happened. I haven't watched a video of Happily Ever After since then, so I couldn't tell you if they had to move things because of it. But yeah, there was a fire during testing, and I want to say it was about 3 weeks ago now. And I didn't hear any more about what may have happened after that and what they did. But I wonder if that's maybe the result of that fire, is that they had to move their launch site over a little bit. I don't know. That's a technical thing, though. I'm more interested in what the show was like. And I am very emotionally attached to Happily Ever After, and I want that big Happily Ever After ending, And I didn't feel like we got that. It just kind of was a grand finale of blowing up some fireworks at the end to me. The projections down on the main street, though, that was really cool. They weren't just pictures. Like there was actions happening there. There were fish swimming at one point, and it really raised the question, which we kind of said during the video too, is where do you stand now? Like, it kind of makes it, Magic Kingdom is a 2-day park. So I'm thinking one time you're going to have to stand in the hub area, and the next time you're going to want to stand by the train station. And it kind of, I guess, makes that rewatchability type of thing happen with the show.
And I wonder if this is kind of I actually just thought of this now. I wonder if this has something to do with the fact that they're anticipating giant crowds for this 50th anniversary. And so when you think about it, if you have a giant crowd that's spilling all the way into Main Street, what's the best way to bring the fireworks to them is to put projection on Main Street. So I think that's another thing to kind of like take into account is there's a possibility, especially if you're going anytime in October, probably into November, the parks are going to be jam-packed. So there's a huge possibility that you're not going to be able to stand where you want to stand, and you may be pushed all the way back. But that's still something that, like, and kudos to Disney for if that's what they thought about. They were like, oh, we want to bring it all the way in here so that like it kind of like encapsulates everybody, and nobody really feels like they're too far away from what's happening. That's very cool, and I'm sure that at some point that was the thought process. But that's kind of what's going on. So that's real cool. You can stand close to the castle. I feel like a lot of what was happening on the castle, but then kind of like towards the end, the castle became a little more like stagnant. Like it was kind of like you had some projections here and there, but it wasn't like fully projected in like a scape of a movie or something like that. So that's good to see too, that like you don't just have to stand in front of the castle to like understand what's happening. You can kind of be like anywhere really. And I've said that before with these fireworks, just in general, even with Happily Ever After. I've been in some pretty not so great spots and still really enjoyed what was happening because like there were just moments everywhere with these fireworks. So it's always very cool, but it's cool to see Disney making these innovations and kind of like pushing the envelope with what they're doing now and bringing these projections all the way down Main Street.
Yeah, I think that's going to be helpful with the crowds. And I also, say where you're saying the castle was kind of stagnant at the end. The fireworks were constant.
Mhm.
You had mentioned that in the video too. Like it seemed like there were more fireworks than we had with Happily Ever After, or at least more constant fireworks. And I think that goes back to the idea of the large crowds as well, where you could be anywhere in the park and have a good view of fireworks at that point, because if they're constantly going, you're going to be able to see them. And if the projections aren't as important now, you don't need to be in front of the castle. You can be maybe behind the castle, or you could be over in Adventureland, and not have to worry about those projections as much and still get something out of the show.
You could also be like our friend Luke and be in your crazy Bay Lake Tower suite with 2 levels, sitting on a couch, watching the fireworks from all the way over there. I know that was something that he had complained about way back 4 years ago when Wishes was going away. Was he was just worried about the projections being more a part of what the fireworks were, and because that was something that he would do with his family, is he would watch the fireworks from their hotel room in there, and that just sounds amazing. So hopefully Luke will be a little happier with with what they got going on.
And that was a thought I had with tonight as well. If you guys aren't aware, what happened today is that they closed the Magic Kingdom down at 8:00 and got everybody out. It was an invite-only crowd that was available for this stream tonight. It was media, and then I'm guessing cast members that had been invited in. I thought it was kind of neat seeing that shot from down Main Street, and you would just see like this row of 6 people standing there. And I'm guessing they were some of the employees working that night, or who knows, it could have been execs, whatever. But so they had this media event, and they kick everybody out, and it's very well known that they're going to be doing this tonight, especially if you're there and they're saying you guys got to get out of here, right? So a long-winded story. When it was starting, I first thought, I bet every single balcony facing the park right now over at the Contemporary has people in it.
Mm-hmm.
I bet every single stairwell on the Contemporary is full with people right now, because everybody knows it's happening, but they can't be in the park to see it. So where do you go next? You go over to the Contemporary, you find a spot either on the 4th floor or any of those stairwells above there that you can see them from. You get that grand villa, as you were talking about at Bay Lake Tower. You stand on that bridgeway. You go over to the Polynesian, stand on the beach. You get wherever you possibly can to see it. That's what I would have been doing if I was there tonight. I would have been finding a spot around the lagoon so that I could see what I could see. And then have the stream in my hand so that if they aren't playing the music for me, I can have the music coming from my phone, right? So that was just a random thought I had, that, I bet it's really busy at those hotels.
Yeah, definitely. I know that, like, even if I was in Florida, I would have been trying to get my butt out to the Magic Kingdom to see this happening. But I mean, to kind of wrap it all up, we'll make this one a little shorter. I don't know. The thoughts that I have on it are kind of mixed, because I do feel like I need to get out and see it in person, because I'm sure I'll feel differently about it just seeing it in person. But I wouldn't say disappointed. I would say kind of like missed opportunities or something like that. it's definitely, I mean, anytime you get to see Disney fireworks is amazing. I say this all the time on the podcast, but just like, you're at Disney. a bad ride at Disney is better than, I mean, any day in the real world. So, but that's the thing. I feel like, I guess for me, as somebody who does love Disney nostalgia, they could have kind of gone that way more with what they were doing. But I do kind of understand what they had going on. And kind of like the whole idea behind it. So that's all very cool. But I guess for me, just like my initial reaction was one of, I wouldn't say disappointment. I'd almost say kind of like it fell flat for me. I guess that's the best way to put it. Like I was super excited about it. It just didn't pop the way I wanted it to. So yeah, there's some things that I thought they could have done with nostalgia and stuff like that. I was almost wishing that they would have brought back a little bit of wishes at one point. I would have lost my mind. They could have used a little bit of happily ever after in there. It's not that far away. It was out for 4 years. Especially with it being gone after this, because that's what I've heard, is that when they're done with this, then they're just rolling out with another new one, which would make sense because you wouldn't want to backtrack and just use old technology. But yeah, I feel like that was something kind of missing, was using nostalgia to better the experience and really give kind of like an emotional response from people. That's something that they didn't really do. And I felt like that was kind of a missed opportunity. But that being said, it looks like an amazing fireworks show, and it looks like something, I mean, I would love to stand in the parks and be able to watch something like that. Let's just hope that seeing it live does kind of give me more of an emotional response. I feel like I've had more emotional responses to the Kiss Goodnight than that fireworks show. And anybody who doesn't know, the Kiss Goodnight is literally the castle turning from pink to blue. It's just like lighting, but it's amazing to stand there and experience that. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the whole thing.
You know, I kind of feel the same way. Kind of okay. I have trouble reacting the first time around. I have trouble giving an opinion without seeing it in person, without giving it a good couple of run-throughs. I'm going to be going and finding a video again quickly here to watch it again. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for my first reaction, and my first reaction is like, as I said, I want that big emotional send off at the end. I want the wows. I want the nostalgia, as you said. Like, we're celebrating 50 years, right? We're celebrating like a big deal. And what did we get? We got Tiana, we got Pixar, Soul. You know, like the only nostalgia that I really saw in there or felt was Night on Bald Mountain.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a great addition, but it's like, where's the rest of it? You know, it's 50 years. 50 years of Magic Kingdom is not Night on Bald Mountain and Tiana and then Soul. You know, it's more than that. So yeah, so I know you haven't watched Harmonious yet. I did watch Harmonious. I did like Harmonious. I like the music. I like the technology they're using. I almost like it more than Enchantment at this point.
Yeah, everything I've seen of Harmonious looks awesome. So I'm definitely going to have to check that out.
Yeah, the big thing with Harmonious is there's no story. Like there's no story woven through it.
Mhm.
I don't know that I even got a story out of this one.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. Like, and that goes back to now. Like, I'm really getting into it. We've got, we've got Enchantment, we've got Harmonious, and what has Animal Kingdom given us? Kite Tales, right? There's no story with Kite Tales either. It's just some kites flying around and some songs, and it's just kind of separate IPs being pulled in. And I mean, that's another discussion for another day, I think.
I was
But
about to say we can probably have an entire discussion with what Animal Kingdom can do and needs to do with that lagoon and their end of the day, I'm doing air quotes, end of the day entertainment. And I guess it's hard because both Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom at Epcot can go all the way to the night every day. Like night will fall on all those parks. There are certain days where night doesn't fall on Animal Kingdom. So I understand that's an issue, but I mean, come on. But again, that can be a completely other discussion.
yeah, yeah. But what I was gonna say is, we don't have any story. And for those of you that were able to watch this live stream tonight, you saw Bob Chapek open it up and speak about the great storytelling history that Disney has. And it's like, okay, but your two marquee events that you have now spent 2 nights streaming out and getting people excited for do not have a story attached to them. There's nothing there that I've seen anyway. And I mean, that begs the question of what's storytelling to me. I feel bad because, when Mikhailo and I first sat down and said, let's do a podcast, I said, we got to stay positive. And here I am ragging on Disney, right? Like, I don't know. I can't wait to get there and see Enchantment in person. That's when the ultimate judgment needs to be passed, is in person. So until then, I will say, well, the video was cool, but I need to see it in person.
Yeah, and I know Brian, you and I talk off podcast about other people who do get negative, and we try not to do that. But I do feel like sometimes we kind of gotta get out there with our opinions and understand that Disney is not always going to be
rainbows and unicorns.
Exactly, rainbows and unicorns. There will be some things, many things, several things that Disney doesn't do that well. Hopefully, this was just a case of watching it over YouTube.
Yeah. Well, and if we do get to watch it a few more times and we do decide that this just is not good, at least we know there's already an end in sight. 18 months and it's done. So hopefully the next one after it is bigger, better, and gives us more emotional responses at the end.
Exactly. Well, if you have watched the new fireworks, both Harmonious and Enchantment, go ahead and let us know what you think about them. Go on our community, Miles from Main Street community. Brian, you're so much better than me at this. Miles from Main Street community, and find us on Facebook. We also have an Instagram, all kinds of socials. So just get on there and start talking. Let us know what you guys think of the new fireworks. If you've seen them, if you haven't seen them, we'll go ahead and put up a video of them so that it's easy for you guys to get to.
And I also have already put a post out there about Harmonious in the community. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking out there about that. So definitely get out there and let us know your thoughts on Harmonious. Or, if you have a trip planned for the 50th coming up, let us know what you're excited about. What are you excited to go celebrate the 50th about? What's going to be there? I just saw that there's an awesome Mickey Mouse popcorn bucket for the 50th that I need to get. So, what are we excited about? Love to talk about that out there as well.
Yeah, I know I'm excited about several things coming up with my most recent trip that I'm planning. But that's all we got for you guys tonight. And we will see you next time on Miles from Main Street.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, please rate us on iTunes and subscribe. Email us at milesfrommainstreetpodcast@gmail.com with any thoughts, and visit us on Facebook under Miles from Main Street. We'll be bringing more to you weekly and look forward to talking to you then.
Until next week, remember,
some live close,
but most of us don't.
So let's talk about it.